You might be asking yourself how you are going to find the energy to face another day, the demands, the people counting on you, the silent battles you are fighting that nobody else sees. We get so used to carrying heavy things that we forget what it feels like to walk without them. We think strength is just gritting our teeth, hiding the exhaustion, and pushing through. But there is a different kind of strength, one that is not manufactured by your own failing willpower. Before you rush out the door today, before the worries of this morning take over, stay here with me for just a moment. Let us put down what you have been carrying. Let us wash the dust off your spirit. There is a strange habit we develop as we grow older. We start collecting stones. A disappointment here, a moment of deep anxiety there, an unresolved hurt from years ago, a quiet failure we never spoke about. We put them in our pockets and carry them everywhere. At first, we barely notice. We tell ourselves we are just being responsible. But eventually, the posture of our soul changes. We walk through our days slightly bent, braced for the next heavy thing to drop. We face this invisible opposition every single day, the friction of trying to keep a family together, pay the bills, stay honest in a world that often rewards the opposite. It is draining. We confuse this exhausting endurance with living. We think that barely surviving the week is the same as being alive. But true renewal, the kind of deep, quiet rest that actually restores a person, requires a difficult surrender. It requires you to empty your pockets. To be purified does not mean you have to present yourself as flawless. It just means you have to be empty. Empty of the illusion that you can control every outcome. Empty of the tiring need to fix everyone around you and hold the sky up all by yourself. Think about water. Water does not strive. It does not force its way in panic. It flows, it yields, and yet over time, it reshapes even the hardest landscapes. When the ancient texts speak of a renewed spirit, they almost always speak of water, a washing, a gentle, persistent stream in a very dry land. Right now, in this very moment, you are invited to step into that quiet stream. You do not need to bring your achievements, and you certainly do not need to hide your failures. Just bring your raw exhaustion. The world demands that you show up fully armed, ready for battle at all times. But here, in the stillness of this morning, the invitation is different. Take that heavy armor off. It is rusting. It is exhausting you, and it was never meant to be worn day and night. Before we go any further, I want to pause here for just a moment, because what we are talking about, laying down the weight, finding a different kind of strength, most people hear this and feel it deeply. But then the morning ends and they pick the stones right back up, not because they lack faith, because they are missing something specific. Jesus encoded the actual mechanics of renewal into his parables, not the surface story, the hidden layer underneath, the one that speaks directly to exhaustion, to financial pressure, to relationships that drain you dry. I left something in the first pinned comment below this video for the people who are ready to go beyond inspiration and into transformation. Go check it before we continue. What you find there may be the very thing this season has been preparing you to receive. Let the dirt of yesterday be washed away. The conversations that ended in frustration, the tasks you left undone, the quiet guilt you carry for feeling like you are simply not enough. Let it wash downstream. You cannot receive new strength if your hands are closed tight around old burdens. Open your hands. We often misunderstand what it means to be strong. We have been taught that strength is absolute rigidity, like an old oak that refuses to bend in the wind, standing proud until the worst storm finally snaps it in half. But watch the reeds by the river. They bow low when the heavy winds come. They almost touch the mud. And when the storm passes, they rise again, entirely unbroken. There is a deep wisdom in learning how to bend, in learning how to simply admit that you are tired. When you wake up feeling like your internal reservoir is completely dry, there is a natural temptation to panic. You look at the schedule for the day and think, I do not have enough for this. But perhaps that is exactly where you are supposed to be, empty, because you cannot fill a cup that is already full of yesterday's stale water. We spend so much of our lives borrowing tomorrow's troubles, dragging them into today, and then wondering why our legs are shaking. But grace, that quiet, unexplainable strength, is never given for tomorrow. It is only given for today, just for this very moment. Like bread in the desert, it cannot be hoarded. If you try to save today's strength for tomorrow's imagined battles, it spoils. It ferments into anxiety. To be renewed is to accept the boundaries of today. You only have to walk through the next 24 hours. You do not have to figure out the next 5 years before breakfast. You do not have to solve every painful dynamic in your family before noon. Listen to the quietness of this morning. Before the phone rings, before the noise of the world begins, there is a presence here, waiting to sit with you in your weariness. It is not asking you to perform. It is simply offering a divine exchange, your heavy exhaustion for a peace that defies logic. It is terrifying to let go, isn't it? We hold our breath because we think if we relax, everything will fall apart. But you are not holding the universe together. You never were. And what a beautiful, purifying relief that is. Let that truth wash over you. You are allowed to be human. You are allowed to be tired. And you are allowed to rest in the hands that actually do hold everything together. There is a quiet dignity in admitting our own limits. We spend so much energy forcing our circumstances into a manageable shape, convinced that controlling enough variables will finally bring security. But that tight, forced control only creates tension. It pulls at the very roots of who we are. True renewal begins when you allow things to just be loose for a moment. When you stop trying to manipulate every outcome and let the tangled pieces fall exactly as they are. What you are feeling right now, this liberation, this silent shift, is not just emotion. It is your spirit recognizing something true. And here is what I have learned after walking alongside thousands of people through phases exactly like yours. Those who remain renewed are not those who felt it most intensely in moments like this. They are those who found the specific, practical keys that Jesus left, hidden in his parables, precisely for this kind of weariness. Keys about provision, about peace, about relationships, about the kind of strength that does not run out. I left the link in the first pinned comment below this video for those who are ready for more than just a simple morning renewal. It is still there, but it will not be accessible much longer. Think about how much of our exhaustion comes from trying to project a certain image. We constantly try to manufacture bright beams of success so the world sees us as capable, strong, and unbothered. But that artificial light is harsh. It is exhausting to maintain, and it only creates deeper, colder shadows in our private moments. What if, just for today, you stopped trying to manufacture the light? What if you let the natural, unfiltered quiet of the morning be enough? You do not need to perform your strength today. You just need to be honest. There is a specific purification that happens when we finally tell the truth about our weariness. We often pray for strength as if it is a heavy iron shield we want God to hand us so we can go back out and fight the exact same exhausting battles. But the strength that comes from a genuine encounter with faith is not a hard shell. It is a quiet, steady pulse inside you. It does not shout. It does not demand the room's attention. It simply sustains you, step by step. You might be carrying a very specific grief today, a silent disappointment that no one asks about anymore because too much time has passed. A relationship that fractured, or a door you desperately wanted to walk through that closed in your face. Bring that solitude into the quietness of this morning. You do not need to explain it. You do not need to find the moral of the story. Just lay it down on the earth. The ground can hold it. You are not required to fix everything before the sun fully rises. We spend so much of our lives fighting a war no one else can see. The battlefield is entirely internal. The sudden spike of anxiety when you face a situation you cannot resolve. The heavy quiet after a difficult conversation. The relentless loop of memories that remind you of where you fell short. This invisible opposition does not loudly announce itself. It simply wears down your defenses, millimeter by millimeter, until you feel completely hollowed out. We try to combat this weariness by becoming harder, building thicker walls, focusing only on the immediate pain. But a life lived in a purely defensive posture is not living. It is surviving a siege. To be truly washed clean of this fatigue, we have to change our approach, not by bracing for impact, but by softening. Think about how much energy it takes to hold a heavy object tightly against your chest. The muscles ache, the breath becomes shallow, the body trembles. Now imagine simply letting it fall away. The relief is immediate, not because you gained more strength, but because you finally let go of the weight. There is a profound spiritual cleansing in the simple act of relinquishing. It is the quiet admission, I cannot orchestrate the universe. I cannot control the thoughts, the choices, or the actions of those around me. I can only tend to the soil of my own heart. When you sit in the quiet of this early hour, let the silence do its work. Do not immediately fill it with a mental list of what needs to be fixed today. This silence is not an empty void. It is a clearing out, a sweeping away of yesterday's panic. The divine presence rarely arrives in the fire, the wind, or the earthquake of our chaotic lives. It comes in the gentle whisper, in the still, small voice you can only hear when you finally stop shouting at your own circumstances. Allow your mind to be still. Let the anxieties of the coming week remain in the future where they belong. This morning is exclusively for your renewal, a sacred space where the demands of the world are not allowed to enter. You stand at the edge of the morning, completely alone, with no one to perform for. We spend so much time carrying the expectations of others, letting their voices crowd our minds until our own inner room feels full of strangers. But true renewal requires this exact solitude. It requires you to gently but firmly clear the room, just for now. Look closely at the resilience that has carried you this far. It is not the loud, boastful strength of a warrior in an arena. It is the quiet, enduring strength of someone who simply refused to stop walking, even when the path was obscure and lonely. You have survived every single day you thought you could not. That is not a coincidence. There is a deep, abiding grace stitched into the very rhythm of your breath. But survival is not your final destination. You are invited today to move from enduring your hours to actually living them from a place of quiet peace. Lay down the heavy narratives you have constructed, the story where you must hold everything together, or the one where you are constantly falling behind. Let them fall away like loose threads carried off by a gentle current. You do not need to knot everything tightly to be secure. The most profound purification comes when we allow our grip to loosen entirely. When we let our thoughts, our plans, our very spirit remain loose and unmanipulated by fear. This is the true essence of being renewed, to walk into the day not as a tightly coiled spring, but as an open vessel, quiet, clean, and ready to receive whatever subtle grace the next hour brings. If you are still here with me toward the end of this video, I want to invite you to subscribe to our channel and join us every morning. It takes a specific kind of quiet courage to sit still and honestly confront your own weariness. Most people turn up the noise of their routines to drown it out. They run faster, hoping the emptiness will not catch up. But you chose to pause. You chose to sit by the quiet water. And because you made that choice, you are finally in a position to hear the one thing your soul has been aching for. Think about the air you are breathing right now. You do not have to fight for it. You do not have to earn the next breath before it enters your lungs. It is simply given to you, a continuous, quiet rhythm of grace that sustains you from the inside out. The entire battle and the entire relief is happening right here within you. When you step into the hours ahead, the world will still be as demanding as it was yesterday. The responsibilities will still be there. The pressures of the week will not have vanished. But the landscape of your soul has shifted. You are no longer meeting those demands from a place of panicked scarcity. You are meeting them from a place of quiet, purified endurance. You have stopped dragging yesterday's bitter dust into today's conversations. You have washed your spirit. You have laid down the heavy, unseen stones you were never meant to carry. And while the mountain in front of you has not moved, the way you stand before it has completely changed. You are not bracing for a fight anymore. You are simply preparing to walk. The morning is fully awake now, not with dramatic bursts of light, but with a slow, natural warmth. You are still the exact same person who woke up with a heavy chest an hour ago. The calendar has not changed, the emails are still waiting, the difficult conversations still need to happen. But the architecture of your spirit is different. Before you step out, the first pinned comment is still there. What I left inside connects directly to what we have been walking through this morning. The hidden keys Jesus encoded for people carrying exactly what you have been carrying. Stones you were never meant to hold. Go find it before the day pulls you back in. It may be the thing that keeps the weight from coming back. When you walk out the door today, do not try to put the heavy armor back on. Let the world see you as you are, entirely human, quietly sustained, and deeply anchored in a grace that does not require you to be flawless. You do not have to rush. You do not have to force the heavy doors open. You only have to take the next faithful step. Let the stillness of this morning travel with you. When the noise of the afternoon tries to pull you back into panic, remember the quiet pool of water. Remember the reflection of your own face, unburdened and alone with the Maker. You are equipped for today, not because you are invincible, but because you are finally willing to be carried. If these words brought peace to your morning, please subscribe to the channel so we can continue to start our days together. Share this video with 5 people in your life who might be fighting a silent battle and could use a moment of quiet renewal. And before you go, leave a sincere comment below. Tell me what you are laying down today, and let me know what topic we should reflect on in our next conversation. Take your time today. The grace you need is already there, waiting in the very next hour.